Yo, what is good with your boys and girls? Today we're gonna be reacting to Andrew Tate, Piers Morgan. Bro, ever since 2024, Andrew Tate has been on a downfall, bro. But I don't care whatever you say, every 6 months, this guy is always gotta find a way to turn up to destroy Piers Morgan on his own podcast, bro. And guess what? The world has been in a critical condition, especially the United States. We had Charlie Kirk die, RIP to him. That guy was innocent. That guy was a good guy. I agree with him on a lot of points, obviously. And we also had that other girl, Irina, who got stabbed on the train. So guess what? Andrew Tate had to pull up, like the same way he pulled up when Israel started committing a genocide in Gaza. So basically, that's what we're gonna watch today. Andrew Tate, Piers Morgan, everybody, tie your seat. We about to take a flight, man. We about to take a flight. So, it's always gonna be crazy. You know, ever since 2022, Andrew Tate has been collabing with his intimate partner, Piers Morgan. They've been debating a lot. They've been going crazy, this and that. But I never seen, not even for once, Piers Morgan cooking Andrew Tate. Who do you think is gonna cook today? The one and the only Top G, bro. So let's stop wasting time, bro. Let's stop wasting time. Straight up, let's go to the video right now. So the video got a title which say, President Misogynist, Piers Morgan versus Andrew Tate on Charlie Kirk trained murder in trafficking case. This video has been shadow banned so crazy. So the fact you can see me watch this video, it never been recommended to me because I had to go and search for it on Piers Morgan so I can watch it. The shadow ban in this video is crazy, but still, in 15 hours, it nearly got 1 million views, bro. Shout out to Andrew Tate and let's go crazy with this shit, man. I'm not gonna yap too much.
Women are permanent prey every single time they leave the house because of all of these liberal, femme-minded,
and why do you think
girl feels, girl boss,
and why
Netflix,
do you think
Piers Morgan,
and what okay, and why do you think and Andrew Tate, why do you think it is that people think you're a misogynist?
Nobody thinks that.
Hold up.
A couple of nights ago, I interviewed Andrew.
Looks like it's gonna be a crazy interview, right? Is it not what you guys think? Wait, why am I watching? Let me go to 720, please. My internet, please, I'm begging you, bro. Nice one.
Tate, in what may have been our most explosive interview yet. Just a few minutes after I left the Uncensored studio, news broke that Charlie Kirk had been shot and, as we now know, assassinated. We're going to bring you the Andrew Tate interview in full, unedited and uncensored. But first, Andrew Tate returns to give his reaction to his horrific story. Andrew Tate.
Yeah, why does this nigga look like this, bro? You look like you about to murder somebody, bro. You're just looking at a camera. Why you trying to get that look, man? You're not gonna get into a fight right now. Chill out. You're not kickboxing no more. Yes, you still fight this and that, but yo, don't give that killer look, bro. Come on.
Welcome back to Uncensored. This all happened just after we finished our interview 2 days ago. Just first of all, your immediate reaction when you heard what had happened to Charlie Kirk.
I was devastated. I was very, very sad about it because he's one of the good guys and he's one of the people who believed in discourse and he believed in speaking and trying to explain with logic why your worldview is better than the opposing. And if we don't have discourse, then all we have left is violence and war. The point of conversation is to avoid the war. The point of conversation is to be able to sit down and be logical enough to come to a conclusion without the need for violence. And it turns out that that's becoming less and less likely in America today.
I mean, it was, you know, as we get more and more information about the shooter, he's 22 years old. He had bullet casings with "Hey Fascist, Catch," "O Bella Ciao," which is a reference to an Italian song adopted by the anti-fascist resistance during World War II. And then several sort of slightly ambiguous ones. If you read this, you're gay. LMAO, notices bulges, OWO, what's this? Which is a meme from internet culture associated with the furry craze. When you look at all that in totality, what do you think we're dealing with here in terms of who this person is?
I think America has a lot of problems. I think that it's an extremely politically charged environment, perhaps the most politically charged environment on the planet. Politics is all anyone talks about all day, every day. The judicial system is politicized. The educational system is politicized. You couple in with the fact it's the most medicated country in the world. It's very unusual for someone who grew up in Europe to know a large percentage of his fellow students to be on some kind of anti-anxiety medication, some kind of depression medication. These SSRIs remove the humanity from the mind and just wipe their brain. You couple that with a hateful media, which is constantly spitting out hateful rhetoric, and you're going to have a whole bunch of drones walking around without humanity waiting to receive their slave instructions, and they're going to believe that they're doing the right thing by murdering people as opposed to just talking to them. So America is a very, very interesting place with a lot of problems. It's easy to just blame guns. I think that's pretty shallow to do, because you can kill with a car, you can kill with a knife. We need to find out why there's such a spiritual sickness across all of the Western world, especially America.
The governor in Utah gave a pretty powerful address today in which he appealed to people to tone down rhetoric, to get off social media, actually, as much as you can, get back to the real world where 80% of the population exists in America. You're very active on social media. You can be very inflammatory on social media. I mean, some of the tweets you've done since Charlie Kirk's death: the left are evil, murdering scum who kill people or let others kill people. They must be held accountable. They're not the good guys. The compassionate, nice guys want you dead, and they'll do it or encourage us to do it. I get 1,000 death threats a day from these people. We are at war. Civil war was another one. You know, some people will say, all right, Andrew Tate, you are part of the problem. You are yourself spewing pretty toxic stuff out to millions of people, whipping up rather than calming down the problem. What do you say to that?
Well, if you have a point of view, somebody can be radicalized by it, right? If you have any point of view on the planet, somebody can be radicalized by it. And social media, like all things, is a fantastic tool that can do amazing things. But if it's used the wrong way, it can also do very destructive things. I don't think the answer is to start telling people to not talk. I think the answer is more discussion, more debate, because if you remove debate, the only answer is violence.
Facts.
So I think that it's also my tweets, which you just highlighted, the fact that I do receive death threats. Somebody did try to kill me only a few weeks ago, and then a friend of mine, a guy who I respected, was blasted, and I had to watch him bleed out. I think it's pretty fair that to say that, of course, my tweets are going to be emotionally charged. We can't get into an area where we say that we can't talk anymore, because that's only going to lead to more violence. We have to be able to speak to each other. And I think that you would agree, perhaps I'm wrong, that it's the left which seem to be the ones who are so obsessed with assassination. It seems to be the left which are more violent. Antifa and their riots trying to assassinate President Trump. An attempt was made on my life. An attempt was made on Nick Fuentes' life. They just killed Charlie Kirk. For us to sit here and pretend that this violence isn't going one way is disingenuous.
I certainly don't think it only goes one way. I certainly think it can go the way of any extremist, that the far right has its own problem with extremists. There have been lots of left-wing politicians and public figures who've been targeted. So I think it's a problem that goes both ways. But I have said for quite a while that the woke mind virus, as Elon Musk calls it, that ideology is extremely dangerous, because the irony of it is you've got this kid who is, purporting to be anti-fascist, but actually using violence and a gun to silence permanently someone whose views he doesn't agree with. The point being, that is the epitome of fascism.
Well, that's exactly it. So the reason this is so dangerous from the left, and it's not as dangerous from the right, is because the people who are on the right live in a version of objective reality. We live in the real world. These people do not live in the real world. If you're going to believe that a man is a woman, and you're going to believe that we should have no borders for our country and unlimited numbers of people can turn up and just steal from us, if you're going to believe that criminals shouldn't go to jail, you're not a person who's sensible. You now have no parameters from which to operate your logic. So if you're going to live in a complete fantasy land, it becomes a lot easier to justify murdering a political opponent than it does if you operate from a frame of rationality. So for that reason, the left are far more dangerous, because all of their ideas are dangerous, because none of them are true. None of them are real. For the same reason it's dangerous for me to say to you, gravity isn't real, you can jump off a building. If you start believing in things that are completely falsified, completely fantasy, then murder is the end result of all of it. So the left is a serious problem across the world. It's a serious problem across America, especially. You add in a spiritual sickness where we have nothing unifying us in the West anymore. We don't share respect for a flag. We don't share respect for the country we're in. We don't share language. We don't share religion. We don't even share economic prosperity anymore. There's literally nothing unifying us. And if you're going to remove the capability to debate and discuss ideas, then you're going to have an absolute civil war. And that's what's so sad, that Charlie Kirk literally was the number one guy trying to speak. He wasn't trying to inflame tensions. He wasn't trying to push violence. He was the guy saying, look, let's talk this through and let me show you why you're wrong. He was the good guy who did the right thing, and he caught a bullet for it. And that is truly devastating.
But when you post civil war, literally one post just said civil war, what do you mean by that? What do you expect?
I mean
people
that civil
to read
war is
into it?
coming if we can't talk to each other.
Well, that's a different sentiment. Had you said that, then fair enough. But just to say civil war is
Did I give
Yeah, now Piers Morgan is coming. This is the Piers Morgan I needed, bro. Let's go.
said that, then fair enough. But just to say civil war,
It's about to be interesting, though.
did I give a verb?
well, what you're saying by civil war, you're saying to your followers that you believe there is a state of civil war here. Now, as you know, the Civil War in America was one of the most consequential periods in its history and was waged with gun violence.
Well, I can answer that in two ways. Firstly, if conservatives can't give their opinion and they can't talk openly and freely without catching a bullet, then I guess it is a war. But that wasn't what I was inferring. I was inferring that a civil war is coming if we can't speak to each other and unify behind an idea, especially the idea of being an American. You have now added a verb saying that I was trying to incite civil war, because very much like all other media figures, it's your primary intention.
I didn't add anything.
It's your primary intention to just spin up negative clips and
Hang on,
find things that get you
what do you mean I
views.
added?
And that's exactly what the liberal media has always done, which is why conservatives are under permanent attack.
Hang on.
We're going to now sit here and say I'm a violent person.
No, I
and
didn't
then
say
when
that.
someone else turns up at
Why are
my
you
house
putting
attempting
words-
to kill me like they did 3 weeks ago,
Why are you
they're gonna
putting
pretend
words-
that has nothing to do with you, Pierce.
Why are you
the liberal
putting-
media in and
Okay,
of
you
itself
can
is
keep
truly
talking.
disgusting. It's the reason why Charlie Kirk had to eat a
if you let
bullet.
me respond
because the
to
liberal
you-
media convinced this guy who's been probably looks like he's on SSRIs to me, that Charlie Kirk was the heart of evil when he truly wasn't. So please do not, in this conversation about a fallen comrade, do not do the exact thing the media always do and the exact thing that ended up getting him killed. Do
Okay.
not say I said something I didn't say,
Okay.
and do not give some
Can I
garbage
get a word in?
inference trying to get a bunch of clicks
I say
on your
something?
channel. You may
Okay.
need money, but I don't, sir. So I don't care
let me
about
just
clicks.
respond.
You may be broke. I'm not. I didn't say let's go to civil war.
If I may
didn't say let's
respond-
start a civil war.
If I may-
Yo, the Piers Morgan tactic of always interrupting his guest is not working no more. This guy Andrew Tate looks like he's plugged. This guy just spitting out words like Eminem rapping. He's not stopping. So Piers Morgan cannot interrupt him. We're just gonna make Andrew Tate win this argument. Obviously, let's go. Because you can see this guy Andrew Tate is not stopping at all. He's just spitting, and this guy Piers Morgan trying to interject him. The guy just keep talking.
respond.
Maybe broke. I'm not. I didn't say let's go to civil war.
If I may
I didn't say let's
respond-
start a civil war.
If I may
said this will
respond,
end it. I
you
said
can keep
civil war
talking,
because
Andrew,
that's
or
where
you
it's
can
going to end.
shut up. I never added any verb. I literally read your post was 2 words.
And neither did I.
Civil war. I never
Neither did
added
I.
a
You
verb.
inferred,
So the whole
sir.
pretext for
inferred.
your whole pretext for your little rant about me is based on a lie, which the viewers will know was a lie because they heard what I said. I never added any words to your post. I read out the words civil war and asked you what you meant
know what
by
the
it.
word
You
infer
then
means?
clarified it. You then clarified it. And I would say to you in return that if you don't want people to misinterpret your post, then maybe post what you actually mean rather than posting the words civil war, which I think are
posted what I meant.
incendiary.
Thank you very much. It's clear that conservatives are under attack by a rabid left-wing sect of the population, which is being radicalized by media figures, very much like yourself. That is clear. We just saw a man bleed to death in front of his wife and children, purely because the media convinces everybody at home that he is evil somehow for having an opinion.
There is
An
an
opinion
irony.
which isn't
There is an irony.
controversial.
Okay.
And MSNBC
Yeah.
and all of these people
Yeah.
who do this, even after his death, were constantly trying to make excuses for the shooter.
Yeah.
It is disgusting.
Okay.
The lie, and I know you don't care, Pierce, but a man tried to come into my house and stab me 3 weeks ago. So for you to infer I'm saying that we need to have a civil war, it's actually quite heinous. So please be careful, sir.
I'm not the one who said civil war. You are.
I said civil war, and then you tried to infer, you tried to sit and ask and infer that I'm trying to promote violence.
I asked you what you meant
talked
by
about
it.
how my tweets are inflammatory, and you're trying to say that I promote violence. Then you read those tweets out because you're inferring I'm a violent person, so that some idiot at home is going to watch this and believe that I deserve to die. And I'm telling you that I'm here. I understand you need views. I understand you need clicks. I understand you're poor. I'm not. I'm here. I don't give a shit about the views. Do not infer I said something I did not say. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I didn't, as everybody who watches this knows, so you just lied. Andrew Tate, thank you very much. Well, now, here is that extraordinary interview from earlier this week, as it was recorded in real time. Today's show is brought to you by Oxford Natural, makers of the Optimum Day and Optimum Night.
Okay, this is a night. This is a night. They put a night in the video.
Day, night.
So far,
costs £40.
Yo, so far. Chad, who do you guys think is winning? Andrew Tate or Piers Morgan?
Or visit Piers or trigger global.
Chad, who do you guys think is winning? Andrew Tate or Piers Morgan so far? Who's winning?
Piers. The line between social media scandals and real-world anger
Who do you guys think is winning? Andrew Tate or Piers Morgan?
is increasingly non-existent. Instead, they're codependent. A small movement can rapidly become a nationwide phenomenon. A shocking but local incident can trigger global indignation. But the root cause of it all and the motives behind it can both get lost in the noise. This summer's Raise the Colours campaign is a case in point, a big push to hoist the English flag across the country has entangled fair-minded protest and patriotism with propaganda and prejudice. People are angry, but not everything they're angry about is true. The same can be said about the brutal murder of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska on a train in North Carolina. Justified online fury over the appalling footage has sparked a massive furore, prompting even the US president to intervene. But some people believe it's only become a racial scandal because of bad faith actors on social media. Andrew Tate understands these issues well, and he joins me now. Andrew Tate, welcome back to Uncensored.
Here's
Back.
I've not spoken to you since, obviously, a massive development in your life.
The looks now better, no more threatening roots and shit. Yeah, this is what we need, my guy. For sure.
Here's
I've not spoken to you since, obviously, a massive development in your life. I need to talk about the elephant in the room off the top. You're facing 10 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, human trafficking, and controlling prostitution for gain, relating to 3 women in the UK. And your brother Tristan faces 11 charges, including rape, actual bodily harm, and human trafficking. What is your response to that development in your life?
My response is very simple, Piers. It was the UK Foreign Office that wrote to the Romanians in 2023 and said I was a national security threat because I had too much influence over the young men of the country. They told the Romanians to get me off the internet. The Romanians arrested me and, as you know, spent 3 years accusing me of things that were not true. The Romanians threw the entire case out because it's garbage and there never was a case. Once the Romanians throw their case out, then the British state brings up some garbage. I'm considered a national security threat to the Matrix, and all they do is lie. You have seen, and we have spoken multiple times throughout this fiasco of what's happened to me in Romania, and I've yet to have a court case or ever be convicted of anything ever. This is a deep state operation by the UK Foreign Office trying to stop...
Wait. Maybe my camera down. You're... Wait,
The
give me
line
a
between
minute.
social media scandals and real-world anger,
as you know, spent 3 years accusing me of things that were not true.
Okay, let's go.
The Romanians threw the entire case out because it's garbage and there never was a case. Once the Romanians throw their case out, then the British state brings up some garbage. I'm considered a national security threat to the Matrix, and all they do is lie. You've seen, and we have spoken multiple times throughout this fiasco of what's happened to me in Romania, and I've yet to have a court case or ever be convicted of anything ever. This is a deep state operation by the UK Foreign Office trying to stop me from doing the one thing I'm intent on doing, which is saving the British state from themselves.
will you come back to the United Kingdom to stand trial?
Absolutely. I'm not scared of these people. They're lying and they know they're lying. I beat the Romanian system, sir. You do understand this is the most corrupt country in Europe. You do understand that if there was even 1% truth to any of their accusations, I'd be under the jail. I'm sure you know that very well. They couldn't even find a victim. It is all invented. The UK Foreign Office specifically wrote to the Romanians and said, get him off the internet. I have the paperwork. The second I'm there in the UK, I'll be sitting with you, unless I'm remanded, with that piece of paper showing you this is a setup from an intelligence agency because I'm considered a national security threat because young men listen to me instead of their propaganda. It is a lie. And anybody, after Lucy Connolly and everything else they've done to everybody after the Southport attacks, if anybody has any faith left in the British justice system, they need their head checked. All of it's a lie. All of the accusations a lie. All of the media is a lie. It's a scam. And Piers, you know it is. You know I've done nothing wrong.
I don't know that.
Yes, of course you do.
Even you.
I don't know.
Even
I don't
you,
know. I don't know.
Even you.
I don't know. Just to be
with
clear.
Your limited faculty,
Listen, Andrew.
understand very well that I am clearly the target of the system.
Andrew,
This is funny,
I know what
bro.
you say about this. I also believe that everyone's entitled to a fair trial. I believe everyone's innocent till proven guilty. And I believe in the British justice system. If you say you're going to come back and face trial, that seems to me to be the best way.
Andrew Tate, he kind of looks like my friend, though. There's
the
one friend
evidence
who
to be
kind of look like
properly
him.
examined in a British court of law. And
I got one friend who kind of act like him, though, for sure.
I believe in the British justice system. If you say you're going to come back and face trial, that seems to me to be the best way for the evidence to be properly examined in a British court of law, and your fate will be determined in that way, as it is for many other people. I don't.
Well,
I
if
don't
you still
know.
believe in the
I've
British
not been
justice
around
system,
you
there's
in
something wrong with
in
you.
your
Of course,
environment. I don't
that day
know. I
will
don't know
come.
whether you're innocent or guilty. How would I know?
Well, you do know I'm innocent. I can see it all over your face, Piers.
No, you can't. I don't know what you're guilty of or innocent of.
He's not
You sat
respecting
there
him.
and told me that Israel wasn't committing a genocide and you were wrong. And you told me that the vaccine was important and you were wrong. And you told me that I was going to go to jail in Romania and you were wrong. So your whole life you've been wrong.
I didn't.
So you're
I
wrong
did. Well,
again if you believe in the
okay.
British
Just to be
justice system,
clear.
because that's a setup and a scam.
Just to be clear.
I'm innocent completely.
Just to be
and
clear,
you should
I
have
did
learned
not.
by now.
Just to
Every
be
time you
clear.
get educated. And I am telling you
All right,
that
you
I'm
can keep
innocent.
shouting.
So you should listen to me.
Okay, just to be clear, I never told you anything about what would happen in the Romanian system other than I would await the justice system to play out there. On genocide with Israel, I still don't think
Nah, this is the other
it's
bridge
at the
baiting.
bar of genocide because no other official body has said that it is genocide yet. I will wait and see how that plays out. So you make a lot of claims about what I've said, but none of it bears relation to reality. You said about vaccines. What did you say about vaccines?
Firstly, I think we should actually, I'm going to do you a favor here.
That'd be
sir.
rich baiting, though.
I think we should move on. Because for me to destroy you over vaccines in Israel again, I mean, this will be the fourth iteration of these conversations. If you're waiting for the official body of Israel to admit they're doing a genocide, we're going to be waiting for a long time. And if you believe in the British justice system after everything they've just done and the bullshit they've locked people up for, you're an idiot. So let's just move on from this into something that's actually interesting to discuss because everybody at home knows you're wrong.
Okay, that's actually demonstrably not true.
Damn. That's a nice way to win. This is a W for Tate.
But I'm
for
happy
sure.
to move on. And for what it's worth, as I think I said to you last time, I believe the COVID vaccines saved a lot of lives. They weren't perfect. Like all vaccines, there were problems associated with it, but I believe they saved a lot of lives.
You're trying to have this smile.
I believe that. So we can, I hope, respect each other's opinions. But let's go on to why I think you wanted to come on Uncensored today. Well, why don't you tell me why you wanted to come on today?
Because what happened to that poor Ukrainian girl on the bus is absolutely disgusting. And I'm here because I think it ties into the Raise to Colors campaign. And I'll be actually perfectly honest with you. The reason I am here is to hopefully, as a half black, half white man, inspire white people to once again defend themselves and defend their nations because they are clearly being genocided. They are the most subjugated, the most prejudiced, the number one race which has to suffer from the most prejudice on the planet in the world today. And I'm waiting for them to stand up for themselves and stick up for themselves. And I'll tell you why. I have children from multiple women, and I am racially ambiguous in many ways. When I go to Egypt, people talk to me in Egyptian. And some people say I look white. Some people say I look mixed race. I get called all of these things. But when I have children with a black lady, the children are black, and I have Chinese children, and I have Turkish children, and I have many white children. And I know that my Turkish children have a place they can go where they will not be subject to violence because of their skin color. As the same with my Chinese and black children. There's many places on the earth they're going to be free to grow up when I'm gone. I'm very worried for my white daughters because I don't think they're going to have a country anywhere left on this planet in less than a decade where they're not going to be a victim or a target for potential rape or violent crime purely because of the color of their skin. And it is down to white people to finally grow a backbone and stick up for yourselves because you're being genocided. This is from
That's what Charlie Kirk was doing.
a mixed race man. You are being genocided and you know you are. That's why I'm here.
So you don't think that black people suffer from similar crime?
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than good sleep, and it's probably time you upgraded yours, as I have,
Another
with our
ad.
sponsor, Brooklyn Bedding.
You're always winning. You're always winning.
Code Piers,
So far, Tate is winning, bro. On God. Tate is winning.
30%
For
off.
sure.
Piers.
Tate is winning so far.
In what way? Do I think black people kill black people?
No, do you think black people suffer from crime? Do you
I think
they are
everybody
also?
suffers from crime, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I would argue, and perhaps I'm wrong, but that's never happened before, that a black person isn't killed because of the color of their skin. they're going to be killed because there's some other drug dealing debt for them to deal with in inner city Chicago. That young girl was killed because she was white. It was a hate crime, and she was targeted.
We don't actually know that.
Of course we know that.
No.
I'll show you how we know that.
No.
Piers,
I know what you're going to say because I've already debated it. The reality of the situation, you had a severely mentally ill, probably schizophrenic.
I don't give.
I'm about to tell you.
If people are mentally ill.
Let's deal with some facts. Let's deal with some facts. Then you can give me your opinion. That's how this works, right? He is heard on tape saying, "I got the white girl." Okay, that suggests a potential racial motivation.
Potentially.
Yeah. Okay, but we don't actually know. And I do think, as I've said publicly, I do think the mainstream media has behaved in a very hypocritical manner. If that had been the other way round, and you'd had a white man killing a beautiful young black girl and saying, "I got the black."
Got a black girl? That would blow the internet if that happened. That would genuinely blow the internet. That would genuinely blow the internet if like a white man killed a black girl and was like, "I got a black girl," bro, that would break the internet, on God.
Girl, it would have instantly been a huge story covered by mainstream media in a very aggressive manner. The fact that this was ignored for several days was an indication to me that there was a decision taken.
Of prejudice.
Yeah, so I think there was a clear bias exposed in the way it was ignored. So I would agree with you about that. But I do think it's important to point out this guy had been in and out of prison 14 times, should never have been let out, but is clearly mentally ill, probably schizophrenic. We don't actually know what motivated him to kill this poor Ukrainian woman. And the reason it's important is that once we do establish more information and more facts, we can make a more considered opinion. One of the issues I have with you, Andrew, and a lot of other people, is that there's always a rush to judgment. And the problem with rushes to judgment is later information may contradict what you're feeling in the moment. I remember in the riots that erupted after we had a young black boy killing those poor white girls, right?
Okay.
There was a rush to judgment that he'd come in illegally on a boat on the south coast of the UK. It turned out that wasn't the case. So I believe in waiting for facts and information and then casting a judgment. And I think my criticism of you in these situations is you have immediately decided that was the motivation, therefore it's a racist hate crime, and that's it. And I would argue to you,
Piers Morgan got a point, though.
Why don't you wait for more information?
Piers Morgan actually got a point on this one.
And make a more considered opinion.
Okay, first things first. If we're going to talk about waiting for information, you shouldn't have told me that Israel was not committing a genocide on October 8th. You've been proven wrong. That's the first thing. The second thing, he said, "I got that white girl." You're going to pretend that doesn't matter as if it's not proof.
I didn't say it didn't matter.
Third thing,
I said it suggests a racial motivation.
Everybody who stabs somebody is mentally ill. This mentally ill bullshit, I don't know where this has come from, where someone's a criminal, but they're mentally ill. Every single person who commits murder is mentally ill. Every single person who commits necrophilia is mentally ill. Every single person who believes they can get in and out of a bank with money without getting caught has some kind of mental disorder. They're all mentally ill. I don't care about mentally ill. And here's the final nail in the coffin to your asinine argument, sir. Why did he not stab anyone else on the bus? Because he was already on a bus with 4 people and he didn't touch them. If he's so mental, if he can't control his mind, why didn't he stab any of those? Is it because everyone else on the bus was black? The first white person he sees, he kills and says, "I got that white girl." And you don't believe that's enough proof for a court of law to determine that was a racially
Piers got cooked on this one. Piers Morgan got cooked on this one, I ain't gonna lie.
Wouldn't be enough proof at the moment.
I'm just enjoying right now.
No, absolutely, I believe that. But that's because I've covered many court cases and you haven't. No, as a journalist, I just prefer in waiting for more information.
People on the bus.
I think
this person, who I will agree was probably deranged, although I give no merit to that, although it does not garner any sympathy from me, he clearly had something wrong with him. This person was radicalized by a leftist media machine, which blames every single thing on white people, which says that white people are the devils, that everything white people have done is wrong, that their entire history is wrong, and that they deserve the bad things that happen to them.
You have no idea. You have no idea that he
demonized an entire race endlessly. We're going to end up having a few idiots who act on that.
But Andrew,
and that's what this man did.
But Andrew,
because of the media. The
Andrew-
leftist media are complicit in what happened to this poor young girl.
Actually, you have absolutely no idea if anything you've just said is remotely true.
I have absolute certainty that it is a fact.
None of it. You have it's not a fact. If it was a fact, we'd all be.
It is a fact.
No, it's not a fact yet. That's the point.
I like this Andrew Tate, bro. I like Andrew Tate when he's kind of like rage baiting Pierre, man. I fucking love this Tate, bro. Like, you know, he just rage baiting Piers, and Piers is like getting already red. He's already turning red. And look, Andrew, bro, in a suit, in a black, with a smile, bro, with his veneers out. Yo, I'm genuinely enjoying this. I cannot even believe 30 minutes have gone by. But so far, on every take, on everything, Andrew Tate has been winning hands down, bro. I don't care whatever you say. I don't care whatever you think. But Andrew Tate is literally cooking Piers right now. So I don't know where it's going to end, but let's keep going, yo. Let's go.
This is my point. Again,
the
off you go.
Media has done
off you go, making a series of assumptions.
Okay, all right. If you want to be smart, let me prove you wrong.
I'm not being smart.
Again.
I'm just saying it's not a fact.
Wrong once again. This is Piers. I'm well versed in you by now. This is easy. Let me ask you a question. If there's an Islamic terror attack, like the London bombings, and then Abu Hamza, Mr. Hook, Captain Hook, he ends up going to jail for a very long time. He didn't blow anything up, but no, he was talking about how Islamic terror attacks should happen because he believes that people deserve them because of his personal worldview. He was instigating so that some idiot would listen to him with less brains than him and then go and murder. What is the difference between that and what the leftist mainstream media is doing by constantly demonizing white people constantly and endlessly?
Well,
there's always going to be some
raising
who's mentally impaired.
Allow me to respond.
Speak louder.
Allow me to respond.
We're locking up Islamic extremists.
All right.
Speak louder.
Discussing violence against
Allow
people
me
who
to
are not
respond.
Muslim. We should also be locking up anybody who is demonizing an entire race, demonizing all of their history, and demonizing them to the point where they cannot get on a bus. They can't get on public transport without worrying about being murdered. And I have a future on this planet where I'm not here. There's a future on this planet where my white daughters exist and I am gone. And they will be victims and targets unless white people start standing up for themselves, standing up for their beliefs, and standing up for their nations. Because you're the only race which is being erased. You're the only one. Nobody is invading and erasing any other race. Only you white people. And you seem to sit there and wonder, oh, maybe it's not too bad. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that. It doesn't matter. The world is tribal. You're not going to exist much longer if you don't stick up for yourselves. And you are clearly targets of an orchestrated campaign. There is a campaign which is designed to demoralize and eradicate you. And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop shouting.
Let me ask you a question, Piers.
Well, why don't you just stop shouting for a moment and let me respond?
Of taxes to import white people who don't work to replace them. No other race
this is funny as hell.
How many
would
taxes?
Commit suicide to this level besides the white man. And I'm here to encourage the white man to stand up for it.
Since you mentioned taxes, you could explain why the police had to seize more than £2 million from your brother for failing to pay tax on revenue from your online businesses.
Great way to change subject. Why did the British state try and steal my money? Well, considering the British state, the Foreign Office meddled in a foreign country's prosecution service and wrote them a letter and asked the intelligence services of Romania to get me off the internet. I guess, since I'm a national security threat, all bets are off. Of course they stole my money. Of course they do. They do anything they can to me because they consider me the enemy.
But you avoided paying tax. So you raised the issue of being a taxpayer.
They do.
Well, you raised the issue of being a taxpayer.
They want to get rid of the man who talks about the problem.
All right.
As if the UK doesn't have enough issues.
At some point, you need to stop talking.
Let me ask you a question, sir. All of the knife crime that's happening in London, all of the blood that's running on the streets, considering you can't even wear a nice watch in that city anymore, is it white people or black people who are doing the stabbing? I'm half white, half black. You can't offend me. Just tell me the truth.
And who are most of the victims?
Who's doing all the killing?
And who are most of the victims?
Well, some of them are black. Some of them are white. It doesn't matter.
Actually, the vast majority are black. So your whole argument, the whole argument you've been shouting about, the whole argument you've been shouting about for the last 10 minutes, you've just exposed yourself as being a misleading argument.
Absolutely not. I don't care if black people kill only blacks. I don't care if black people only kill Chinese. Black people shouldn't be killing. There is an issue within the black community, which is
Andrew
leading
spitting.
them towards violence. We can discuss whether it's genetic. We can discuss whether it's cultural. We can discuss whether it's systemic. We can discuss that. But it is asinine and ignorant to pretend that there is no...
Actually, the reason why black people are the one involved in this killing is only one thing, bro. Over 75% they grow in a house without a dad. They grow up without a father figure in their life. That's why they do drugs. That's why they kill. That's why they do all the crazy things. That is the reason why. It's not about money. It's not about a system. It's about lacking a father figure when they are growing up in a childhood. Let's go.
Within the black community, which is leading to violence. There clearly is. There clearly is. And that needs to be addressed. I say this as a half black man myself. My father was black. Half of my family is black, but I'm not blind.
You've all heard me talking about jacked up fitness and
I'm
their
not
incredible
blind.
all-in-one home
Chow
gym.
is winning so far, bro. That's not even a question you guys have to answer now. We already know Tate is winning. Top G is winning for sure.
I've just said to you that I know that there is a big problem with young black men in London committing knife crime, and the vast majority of the victims of that knife crime are also black. That is just a statistical fact, right? So it just flies slightly in the face of your white genocide nonsense, which I call nonsense because there is no evidence of a white genocide.
Of course there is.
No, there isn't.
Of course there is.
No,
White
there isn't.
people are losing their countries in real time. White people are less percentage of the population of Earth than they've ever been.
Do you even know
White
what
people's
genocide
history is being
means?
replaced.
Do you know
What do you
what
mean there's no
genocide
white
means?
genocide? They're literally disappearing from the planet, sir.
This may explain why you keep saying genocide about Israel from October the 8th onwards. You said it was a genocide. It may be you don't understand what a genocide actually is.
Of course I do. I
No, you
very
do.
clearly understand what a genocide is.
Well, if you think
When you're
it's to
trying
do with white
erase-
people in
erase
England,
an entire
you don't
race of
understand what
people
genocide
here,
is, do you?
That is a genocide. The level of psyop, which has been orchestrated upon the white person to give up all of their love of their history, to believe that all of their ancestors' work doesn't count, to believe that their God-given lands aren't theirs, to believe that they have no right to live in harmony or racial cohesion with anyone around them. The level of psyop that's been inflicted upon the white man is absolutely monumental, perhaps the largest psyop in history. Let me ask you, why did the British Empire give its lands back?
What do you mean?
Well, the British Empire, the British are the largest empire in history. Why did we give Uganda back or the Caribbean? Why did we give it back?
Because we took a lot of that land to start
Because
with.
we took it. Because it is their land given to them by God. This was the assumption that the British state came up with. Oh, we can't take someone else's land. It's theirs. It was given.
Nice point. I love this point right here.
A
Damn.
lot of that land to start with.
Because we took it. Because it is their land given to them by God. This was the assumption that the British state came up with. Oh, we can't take someone else's land. It's theirs. It was given to them by God, and they have an ancestral right to that land. So what right does that give the white person to the countries that they settled? What right does that give the white person to England? Because it's his ancestors and his land. He has a God-given right.
If you're so exercised about England, why don't you come and live here?
Well, I intend on being your prime minister soon, Piers.
Well, you're going to find that quite hard if you're living in
I will be the
Romania.
prime minister of the UK.
No, but you just
That would be really dope, chat.
you decided to live in another country. You left the country. You purport to be incredibly concerned about how we spend our taxes, but you yourself didn't pay the taxes that you owed, according to the authorities. That's why they took
According to
2
the
million.
corrupt
Okay,
authorities,
you denied.
yes.
You deny. I just assume you deny every wrongdoing you've ever been accused of, and you may well be the victim of the greatest miscarriage of justice ever seen in the history of mankind. or maybe you're just a bullshitter. And
Chat, I genuinely, from the deep of my heart, I genuinely love this duo, man. Andrew Tate, Piers Morgan, whenever they interact, it's always gonna be something that's really dope. That's gonna be really funny. It's gonna look like those comedy jokes from 1980s, bro. Super duper funny, bro. I ain't gonna lie. This looks like the Ray William Johnson videos back in 2010, bro. He was super funny, super out of pocket, bro. So this is so funny, I ain't gonna lie.
been accused of, and you may well be the victim of the greatest miscarriage of justice ever seen in the history of mankind.
Yes.
Or maybe you're just a bullshitter and you are guilty. I don't know.
If I was guilty, why am I not in jail, Piers?
I don't know. We'll see, right? I believe in letting justice do its course, right? But we'll see, right? But on the relation to the
Was Julian Assange guilty of rape?
let me just come back to a point I want to make.
No, let me ask you, because for 12 years he was a rapist.
I'm actually doing the interview.
Delmarsh, and then all of a sudden he got let out, and no one talks about his imaginary victim anymore.
I want to make a point.
Turns out they just made it up to get rid of the guy because he was a problem for the Matrix.
Let me just.
Oh, he raped someone in Sweden.
Let's talk about the Matrix in a moment.
Who's his victim?
Okay.
Oh, and she never existed.
Okay.
As soon as he deleted WikiLeaks and agreed to their little plea bargain, she was gone. Very much like my victims never existed.
I want to make the point to you.
It's a scam, and you should know better by now.
Okay. I want to make the point to you that when you talk about the issue of the Ukrainian woman killed in the train incident in the United States, that actually when you go off in your huge rant that this person was motivated by a left-wing agenda of hating white people and blah, 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 it reminds me of what you did in the UK after that young black boy killed those 3 white girls. Is the UK after that young black boy killed those 3 white girls? Is that
I can be right twice.
Is that you made? But you were wrong there in the assumption.
I wasn't wrong.
You were wrong in the assumptions you made that he was an illegal migrant come over on the small boats.
No,
right? You were wrong.
My assumption was that he shouldn't be there.
Fine, that's fine. He was born in.
He was
born in the UK. You might have a view.
Nations that you are not native to.
My point is. My point is, you rushed to judgment and you were wrong. And you're rushing to judgment with this guy, and I don't know the truth, and nor do you. What I do think is it was a heinous murder, a disgusting incident, and that the mainstream media failed the American public in refusing to report it properly. And even now when they're reporting it, they're trying to do it through the prism of right-wing MAGA people trying to turn it into a race row, when in fact the guy is on tape saying, I got the white girl. I want to know more about that. I want to know more about his background and whether he did this for racially motivated reasons. And the tape is certainly a part of that investigation. But I think when you rush to judgment and you have your platform, it's incredibly dangerous, Andrew. I get so many young men in particular, teenage boys, early 20s, who come up and ask me about you and our interviews and what I actually think about you. You know that. You have a big influence and a big reach. But you
Perhaps the largest.
But all right. But they hear you make a big rant about protecting women's rights and so on, right? But only today, on your X account, to millions of people, you've said this: stop letting women vote. Stop giving women position as judges. Stop giving women political appointments. As soon as only men run government and law, all the problems disappear. Women now understand that without male protection, they're nothing but victims. You are not a girl boss. There is no such thing. Crying for Irina is a wake-up call for females. And honestly, I don't think I've ever read a more ludicrously misogynistic, hypocritical load of claptrap in my life. How can you pretend to be standing up for women's rights when actually what you want to do is subjugate women of all their rights? How do those two things sit without you being a brazen hypocrite?
You are conflating subjugation with protection. It turns out that it's the big, evil, mean misogynists who say that his woman shouldn't have to work in a pizza parlor, or that she can't defend herself on a bus, or that she shouldn't be walking outside alone, I should go with her. It's us big, evil, mean misogynists who actually care about women.
You don't even want women to vote.
It is the
You don't even want to give women the right to vote.
The liberals, the Democrats, the idiots who are going to sit there and pretend that a woman should be able to make her own money and take a public transport alone and sit next to a black guy and not worry about it. All of their worldviews led to her murder. I remember when I spoke to you on October 8th, I said, why women don't have jobs. You said, why don't your women have jobs?
What
My
you're
answer
saying,
is simple, because if they have a job,
you're saying
they
is
might
absolute.
get stabbed to death.
Yeah, but Andrew,
because society is broken down. We built society specifically for the reason that women used to have to walk around with a permanent male chaperone.
Yeah.
And society was built so that women could go outside and interact with the world without a chaperone.
Yeah.
Society was built by evil, misogynistic men. And then these feminists came along and destroyed it all. I believe in protecting women because I don't believe they can fight. If that makes me a misogynist, so be it.
No, the
women
reason
like men who protect
let me
them.
respond.
No woman wants to be seen as a man's equal
Andrew,
in the realm of martial combat.
The reason
me saying that is women who vote for these DEI policies,
I'm going to try and talk.
Women who vote for liberalism.
I'm going to try and talk.
Women who vote for open borders. A female judge let him out. And this is a wake-up call to all women to listen to the bad guys.
Oh, they've had the wake-up call.
The bad guys want you alive, and the good guys, the wimps, want you stabbed in the neck.
Okay, stop talking. So you, again, just to repeat.
This is the real Andrew Tate. This one right here, after speaking, trying to smile, this is him, bro. This is him, you know, getting out of character for a second, bro. This is him for a second, bro. He's like, I can't believe it. He's trying to laugh. He can't hold his smile. Look at him.
You said this today in your rant. Stop letting women vote. Stop giving them positions as judges. Stop giving them political appointments. As soon as only men run government and law, all the problems disappear. Women now understand that without male protection, they're nothing but victims. I can't think, do you even understand how misogynist that is?
Well, let me ask you a question. Who votes for liberalism? Who votes for soft on crime? Who votes for open borders? Who votes for DEI? By and large, male or female, which sex is it?
Wow, you're really doubling down, aren't you?
What was the gender of the judge who let this man out his 14th time in court? Male or female?
Wow.
Female.
Wow.
Why was this woman going to work and riding the tram late alone at night instead of thinking this is dangerous or I need to find a man to take care of me? Why was she doing this? Because she probably believed that she can go and fend for herself and deal with herself out in the world. She doesn't need male protection. Bad things happen when we ignore reality. I'm not a misogynist and I'm not a racist. I am a realist.
Yes.
Sir. I am a realist. White people are being subjugated
so you're blaming
that
this.
Is clear.
So just to be clear,
Yo, I see the video of Charlie Kirk. Somebody asked him, yo, Charlie Kirk, I heard that you are anti-trans. You are anti-trans. Somebody was saying that. And Charlie Kirk was like, yo, I'm pro-reality. that shit took me out, bro. God damn, bro. I should watch a lot of Charlie Kirk starting from now, bro. That means every week we may watch some Charlie Kirk video, bro. I guarantee you that.
That it takes a bad guy to beat a bad guy. And the big, evil, mean, toxically masculine misogynist, let me tell you something. I'm the only guy on that tram who would have killed that guy before he got off of it. I would have took the knife off him and stabbed him in his neck. Only me. No one else did.
Very macho.
It takes a bad guy to beat a bad guy.
Very macho of you, but what you're basically inferring is that she brought this on herself.
No, what I'm inferring is that society was built to protect women. And when you protect something, you must restrict something. We have taken that restriction, we've taken that protective instinct, conflated it into subjugation. You did it at the beginning of this questioning. You tried to say
when you remove a woman's right to vote, when you remove a woman's right to work and vote, and all these other things, you are reducing women to your chattel.
The society we live in now, women are permanent prey every single time they leave the house because of all of these liberal, femme-minded,
and why do you think
girl feels, girl boss,
and why
Netflix,
do you think
Piers Morgan?
And what, and why do you think?
Why you gonna drop his name, bro? Like, why you gotta drop his name? You just talking to him, bro. The way he dropped his name, I don't even think Piers Morgan ever heard of that because he was trying to counter him, but the girl was already shouting. God damn.
The house because of all of these liberal, femme-minded,
and why do you think
girl feels,
Piers Morgan,
boss,
and why
Netflix,
do you think
Piers Morgan?
And what? And why do you think? And Andrew Tate, why do you think it is that people think you're a misogynist?
Nobody thinks that.
You don't understand why, do you? You can't even get it as you spew this stuff.
Oh, I understand that there's weaponized virtue. I understand that.
Oh, it's not weaponized virtue.
I understand, sir.
You don't believe in women's rights.
I understand the
You don't believe in women's rights.
Refuse to report on this woman dying. Say I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, but you're trying to portray yourself.
I just don't care.
You're trying to portray.
Yeah, that's crazy though. They be saying Andrew Tate is misogynist, he's the worst person alive, he's the human trafficker, he's the rapist for years, bro. Ever since 2022, bro. They be saying the same fucking shit. And guess what? When that guy murdered that girl on the train, guess what happened? Zero. Bro, no, guess how many stories were made? Zero on the biggest media outlets. Whether it's BBC, CNN, whatever. I don't even follow any of that shit. But they never mentioned it, not even once. But guess what? Andrew Tate briefs, oh my God. How can he brief in a world with women? That is rape. Put him in jail, bro. That is crazy, though. That is super crazy.
This woman dying, say I'm a bad guy.
Yeah, but you're trying to portray yourself.
I just don't care.
You're trying to portray. Okay, stop shouting. You're trying to portray yourself as the savior of women, but you at the same time.
No, I'm not.
You at the same time you want to remove all their rights. You're a despicable misogynist. That's all you are.
What I'm trying to say to you is that protection comes with a degree of restriction. That is the basic premise of protection.
They can't work. They can't have meaningful jobs.
You're going to say
they
that
can't
the media
help run governments. What
can
women do in your world?
Deep state to try and get me off the internet.
What can women do in your world,
Andrew? It's the same
Andrew?
media who won't even report about this poor girl's killing.
Yeah, never mind poor girl. What about the way you're talking about women?
Liars.
What about the way you're What about the way you're talking about women?
How am I talking about them?
In the
I'm saying that women voting and women not listening to men or letting men protect them, or female judges put us in this position. That is true.
You think women should be
a man's job?
You think women should stay at home, do you?
And if we
women
do
should
that,
stay at home,
we have a degree of control. Piers,
should women stay at home, Andrew?
What time to be home? Is it because I'm a horrible misogynist and I subjugate them? Or is it because I care about them?
Do you believe that women should stay at home and just be...
I asked you a question and you've asked a lot.
No, I'm asking you the question.
I tell my daughters what time to be home.
I'm asking you the question.
Is it because I'm a misogynist?
You can shout as much as you want. It won't make any difference. Do you believe a woman's place is at home, no work, no job, no right to vote, no right to be in a government, no right to be a judge? Do you believe all those things?
I believe a woman has a different set of skills than a man. And I believe that when it comes to the protection of society, and society is primarily the protection of women and children, that is the duty of men. Decisions around that, e.g. judge, should be made by men. Enforcement, e.g. police, should be made by men. And the best prevention, the best cure is to avoid something happening in the first place. Therefore, restrictions should be made by a man who cares about the woman. That is why my daughters have a curfew. Not because I'm a misogynist, not because I want to subjugate them, not because I'm an evil person, because I care about them and I love them and I protect them by keeping them away from possible scenarios instead of trying to run in like Rambo. The scenario's already begun.
Yeah, by keeping them at home.
Yes, if I want my daughter to be safe, she has to be home at a certain time. If that makes me a bad person, Piers, you can call up the rest of the liberal media, the same media who don't report on a woman getting stabbed in the neck, and you can do a big expose about how Andrew Tate's daughters have a curfew.
What skills do you want your daughters to have?
I want my daughters, very much like the other women in my life, to be as happy as possible, to feel protected, to feel safe. And I want them to focus on the number one thing they're good at. I really pray that my daughters have children with a man they love, ASAP, and focus on motherhood. I think that's the best thing for my bloodline. I think it's the best thing for their happiness. I think it's the best thing for society. Because, you know, this conversation could go on for 6 hours. There's many things you don't know. But the only reason these savages are in our country in the first place is because in the Western world, the native people have stopped reproducing. And that is a conversation which is 3 hours long about all the reasons why. White people don't have babies anymore. GDP is all made up. The Ponzi scheme, which is pensions, is about to collapse. We now have to import a whole bunch of psychopathic third worlders, and people are going to get stabbed and die for it. So what I will do, because I will do my very best to try and contribute to society by every metric, is encourage my daughters to find a man they love and have as many children as they possibly can. That's what I'll encourage my daughters to do.
And what if one of them wants to job?
Have kids that need to be alive.
What if one of them wants to go out and work?
Past 8 o'clock because Dad says so.
And what if one of your girls says, "Hey, Dad, can I go out and get a job?" Your answer is no, is it?
My answer is, why do you need a job?
No, your answer would be no, right? Just to be clear.
My answer would be convince me, but most likely no. But maybe they can convince me. Maybe they can say we need to save the turtles.
And if they say, I want to have a right to vote in my country, your answer,
save the turtles,
if your daughters say,
to a safe country,
and if your daughters say they want to vote,
the answer would be no.
And if your
what's so tragic, Piers?
And if
you know what's so tragic about this case we're not talking about? The majority of women who ran away from Ukraine ended up in Dubai as a sugar baby to a millionaire. This poor girl tried to do the right thing. She's the only one who wasn't chasing money. She wasn't the only one being a sugar baby. She wasn't the only one selling herself. She went to a terrible part of America, North Carolina. I don't know why she's there of all cities. And she's working in a pizza parlor, making minimum wage, probably trying to retain her dignity and respect instead of selling out to some rich guy. And she gets stabbed in the neck. We are forcing women into basic prostitution now because they can't have a job. Why do all these women do OnlyFans? They can't go out and have a job. Why do all these women share rich men? They can't go out and have a job. Why do all these women move to Dubai? They can't go out and have a job. If you're a pretty girl in Memphis, Tennessee, you can't work at a pizza parlor. You can't go outside. You can't walk down the street. You can't get a taxi.
What a load of crap.
The 7th girlfriend to a millionaire, do OnlyFans.
What a load of absolute crap.
A rich father.
And by the way,
try to think Andrew Tate is right or not. Is Andrew Tate right or is he wrong? Be honest.
Destroyed our society.
And by the way, how could you?
Society is so wrecked. Women can't even work jobs.
Sorry, forgive me.
So sad about
okay,
this
stop talking.
She was doing the right
thing. Stop talking Forgive me, but Irony just died. Are you really lambasting people for doing OnlyFans when you ran a webcam operation?
I didn't lambast. I said that's what they're going to do.
Right.
Because women are not safe to do
But you
anything
literally
else.
paid them to do a similar thing on webcam.
10 years ago, I had a webcam company,
Yeah.
correct.
So you literally
I'm not
did the
saying
same
women
thing.
I'm not anti-OnlyFans.
That's how you employed women.
That women cannot work jobs anymore. This is why nightlife has died. Women don't go out anymore. You know why London has absolutely no nightlife? What girl
When
in
were
her
you
right
last
mind
out in
on a
London?
Thursday night is going to walk around at 2
When
a.m.
were you
in high
last
heels
out
and
in
a short
London?
skirt? None. The whole city is
When were
gone.
you last out in
America's
London?
the same. People aren't going to meet anymore.
I was
Our
out in
entire
London the other
societies are
day.
gone.
It was
The pub is
packed with
gone.
people,
Birth rate's
including
down. Nobody
many
does
women.
anything but sits inside on their phone, and it's because the streets are running with blood.
Really?
Damn.
Well, I was out in London the other day, packed with people, having a good time, including many women, most of whom will find your views utterly ridiculous. Utterly
Absolutely not true. There's
Dickensian
not a female
and
alive
ridiculous.
who's not
A
obsessed
woman's
with-
place is at home, no vote, no job, no power. But you, Andrew Tate, believe that's the way to protect them and to save women for the world. What a joke.
I believe if we were
Honestly,
to
what
bring
a
up an
joke.
electoral map
What a
right
joke.
now,
I hope
Matt,
young men,
No, this is your
I
chance
hope young
to do
men who
something
watch this
incredible.
interview
This is your
realize
chance to
the
prove me
emperor
wrong for
wears
the
no
first time in
clothes.
history.
Because
Bring up an
actually all you
electoral
want to
map
do
of the
is
United
subjugate
States
women.
with only men vote, and let's see if it's Democratic or Republican.
Only
let's see
men
if it's Democratic,
vote.
liberal, left-leaning, or
Yeah.
Republican.
Only men
only
vote.
votes the American continent.
I
Please
want
bring it
young
up and
men.
prove me wrong.
I want
Please.
young men to watch this
Please.
interview. I want them to watch it back several times and understand that actually underpinning your whole shtick is brazen, really damaging misogyny. You are a terrible misogynist, and that is the truth. And you may pretend you're not, even maybe to yourself. But when you talk about the way you want to subjugate women, no vote, no job, no power, but you, Andrew Tate, will take
No way he's
control of
nodding,
them
bro.
and take charge and protect them. Do me a bloody favor.
No way he's
Why would
nodding.
any
My
woman
daughter
want to do
has
that?
no vote, no power, listens to daddy, does everything I say. She's alive, well, and drives a Bentley. Let me
Really?
tell you something, Piers. I've asked you many single questions. I've asked you many questions on this interview, and you answered absolutely none of them for a reason.
My job is the
You are
interviewer. I
complaining about
ask the
vote.
questions.
You're
You
complaining
don't.
about the vote. Bring up an electoral map of men only voting in America. Let's look if men are voting for these soft on crime, open boarding policies of the
Okay.
Democrats, or if men are voting Republican.
Okay.
Prove me wrong. This is your chance, Mr. Piers
Nice
Morgan.
one. I like
Legend
this one,
of the
man. I like
legacy
this
You're
of
argument.
mistaking
Mr.
me.
Smartass.
You're
Pull up a
mistaking
map.
me.
Prove
You're
me wrong.
mistaking me for a fellow misogynist, and I'm not.
No, you don't want to prove me right, sir. But
I don't
everyone
have
already
to-
knows
I don't
I'm
have
right.
to
Like
prove
every
you
other time
right
you've
or
ever
wrong.
spoken.
People
Every
could-
single time.
people have
the comment
heard you.
section is nothing but
People-
decimation of your
This energetic. He just
decimation
straight
of
up
the
yapping.
little bit of legacy you have left, a little bit
People-
of credibility that you've
People
retained.
will watch. Well, we'll see how your credibility fares after your court cases, right? And like I say,
The same as it did in Romania.
like I say,
the same as it did in Romania.
I don't know the
I am innocent. I am the victim of a deep state
I think
attack
it's gonna
by the
be
British
very,
Foreign Office.
very-
No, if you were a real journalist, Pierce, if you were a real journalist,
Okay.
I just told you that the British Foreign Office wrote to another sovereign nation declaring me a national security threat and asking them to get me off the internet. Don't you think you should have asked a single question about that? How I know it? What proof I have? Is it on paper? Why did they do that? Is that legal? Why were you in jail without charges? 4 years locked in your house, never convicted. You never even went to court. If you were a real journalist, you would have asked me
Facts.
20 questions. And you know what? I
Facts.
told you that. I told you something breaking. That the British Foreign Office broke international law, just like they did with Julian Assange, and you didn't care because you are an establishment figure. All you are is a figurehead for the Matrix itself. You don't care about the truth ever. You say what you're supposed to
the
say.
beauty of what
You
you've
say
just
what you're supposed
the
to
beauty
say.
the beauty of this interview is that you've revealed the truth about yourself. You just don't even really realize it, or maybe you do and you don't care. But everyone watching this can now see you laid bare as a brazen misogynist, somebody who wants to remove all women's rights. And I say that makes you a dangerous misogynist with an unhealthy influence over young men. And they should watch this interview and understand very clearly that actually women should have the right to vote. They should have the right to work. They should have the right to hold positions of power. And that your kind of misogyny is actually taking us back 150 years to a place where women stayed at
Women
home
should have the right
and had
to ride
children
the subway
and took
without
care
being
of their
stabbed in
man.
the neck.
And if we went back to that
Women
far,
should have the right to go outside without being raped by third world migrants.
Yeah, you know what? The
Women
vast
should have
majority
the
of
right
women
to have
do go
children
outside without
because
that happening to
the man
them.
they're having kids with can earn enough money to pay for the family. Women have more important rights than being psyoped by the media into caring about abortion, watching too much Sex in the City, and voting in a whole bunch of psychopaths who stab fellow women on the bus.
Right.
Facts.
Andrew Tate, appreciate you coming back on Uncensored. Thank you.
No problem.
Breaking news, woke is dead.
Damn, that is crazy, bro. That is super crazy. Chad, let me tell you. This interview was so good. Andrew Tate got a W, man. I don't give a fuck what you say, bro. I don't give a fuck what you think. Andrew Tate lost. I don't give a fuck. Andrew Tate won. I genuinely don't care what you think, bro. Andrew Tate won that shit. Easy. Hands down. For sure. Shout out to Andrew Tate, man. Shout out to Andrew Tate. You won that shit. But let me see this, bro.
The war on common sense is officially over. Cancelled celebrities are emerging from Twitter jail. Virtue signaling has been outlawed under punishment of mass ridicule. And we are finally free to call a spade a spade. So what was the cause of death? How did the silenced majority finally win? And what exactly is going to take its place? Woke is Dead is my definitive story on the rise and fall of woke, as well as the common sense.
Nah, Piers Morgan. We seen what you do, my friend. Anyway, there's a guy called Tom McDonald, bro. Chat. Did this guy called... Okay, I gotta do this.